Good morning and welcome to Time on the Steps. We're going to continue to hear stories from the Gospel of Matthew today. And so here's a question for you to think about. And you can answer with people you might be sharing worship with. You have a very important message to deliver. How will you deliver that message? How would you send an important message? What would you use to send an important message? Think about that for a second. Today, we're going to hear a story about God's messengers that Jesus told some people that were powerful. And so let's listen to that story. You're going to hear it again in the sermon, and it comes from the Gospel of Matthew chapter 21. And we're reading from this Bible that soon some of you will have at home to read along with. It's called the Parable of the Vineyard. The Pharisees were a group of people who didn't like what Jesus said and treated Jesus badly. Jesus told the Pharisees a story to help them understand what they were doing wrong. Jesus said a man built a vineyard and planted grapes. They hired workers to care for the grapes. When the grapes were ripe, the person sent servants one by one to get the grapes, but each time the workers watching the vineyard hurt the servants. The vineyard owner tried sending even their own son, but they hurt the son too. The Pharisees realized Jesus was talking about them because every time God sent someone to help them learn more about God, they were mean to that person instead of listening to what the person had to say. Jesus was there to save them, but they weren't listening. So the story is about how God sends messengers to us to hear about God's love. How are you looking and listening for messengers? How are you looking and listening for messengers of God? How are you a messenger of God's love? You know, messengers for God can share God's message of love in Jesus through their words and actions. And Jesus taught us in today's story it's important to listen to God's messengers. Did you know there's messengers for God right here in the church? Can you think about who a few of them are? Maybe name them off. If you have a chance this week, write them a note to say thank you for being God's messenger. We're going to close by doing a blessing together. I'm going to bless you first to send you out to be a messenger for God. The line is this: when God sends us out as messengers, God helps us receive this blessing as you go out into the world. You're going to say, may God go with you. Amen. So I'm going to bless you first. I'm going to say, may God go with you. So here's your blessing. May God go with you. Amen. Now you raise your hands and think about someone who's been a messenger for God and bless them. So let's say to that person, may God go with you. Amen. Now keep your hands up and bless everybody in the congregation to be a messenger for God. And let's say together, may God go with you. Amen. All right, see you next week.